Okay, in this example, we're going to talk about solving quadratic equations using the square root property. This property can be used when we have some quantity that's squared and it's equal to a number. Let's first consider this. Notice when I take, there's two values of x that work here. 3 squared is 9, but -3 also works because -3 squared is also 9. So when we take the square root of both sides, the square root of x squared, they cancel, we get x. The square root property says we need to put a plus and minus here. The square root of 9 is 3, but we need to put a positive and a negative. And the reason why is because of what I just explained. So now let's solve this equation using the square root property. To use the square root property, as I just explained, the part that's squared needs to be by itself. So we move 6 to the other side. So we get 2x minus 3 quantity squared. That adds up to 0, and this is -6. Now we use the square root property. When we take the square root of both sides, the square root of a square cancels. We get 2x minus 3. Now on this side, remember, we just, in the earlier section, we covered complex numbers. This we can think of as this. And this is the square root of 6 times the square root of -1. The square root of -1 by definition is I. So this is the square root of 6i. Now a lot of times we put the I in front of the square root of 6. The reason why is because when you write it like this, you just want to make sure that I is not underneath the square root. So it's hard to tell sometimes if it is, but by putting it in front, it's clearly not under the square root. Now we just solve for x. We add 3 to both sides. Those add up to 0. We get 3, I forgot my plus and minus. See, don't forget that plus and minus. So when you take the square root of a square, you do get a positive and a negative. So then when we add 3 to both sides, those add up to 0. We get 2x. Here we get 3 plus and minus I root 6. Last, we divide both sides by 2. Make sure that entire side on the right is divided by 2. Those cancel. And our answer for this equation, our answer is x equals 3 plus and minus I times the square root of 6 over 2. Now understand, what does this mean? This means one answer is x plus I root 6 over 2. The other answer is 3 minus I root 6 over 2. So this really says there's two answers, and those are the two answers.